Nintendo finally dropped another trailer for Tears of the Kingdom. But god, this trailer went by in the blink of an eye. A bunch of returning enemies, storyline information, and Zelda still falling into a hole, all shown to us faster than an 8-year-old scrolling through TikTok. Let's break down the entire trailer to see what we didn't see the first time around. This is our first look at the green swirl in this trailer, similar to the green swirl we saw in previous trailers. Does this represent shrine-esque features? If there are shrines, will they do the same thing as in Breath of the Wild? We're technically still in the same world, so wouldn't the shrines still exist? Red smoke here, almost Ganon-like, or maybe just red goop. Kind of hard to tell from so far away, though it does seem to have a similar movement to something between fire and waving slime. This stuff looks like the ooze from the E3 2019 trailer, however. We can see Death Mountain in the background, a typical Zelda shot, but this time Death Mountain has that evil red goop taking over the top. Also, clearly, lightning will be returning to the game, as well as rain. Have fun climbing in the rain again, idiots. Love Nintendo. Here we see possibly a new enemy, frogs with wings and antenna. These things don't look super familiar to me, so I looked up every flying enemy in the Zelda series and came back with nothing. But it would make sense for there to be a brand new flying enemy, since it seems like most of our journey will take place in the sky this time around. We also see enemy bases returning. This looks to be a bokoblin archer waiting to just make his shot, live in his life. There's something lying down on the ground which has lights similar to that of a divine beast. These rune marks appeared all throughout Breath of the Wild. This could just be another indication of that keeping to the same theme that the previous game had, but they could also be something brand new to this game, which are the two options. Good job, Cora, you wrote this script so well. There are also these towers with lights around them that are somewhat reminiscent of fast travel towers we had in Breath of the Wild. Though these ones seem to call more attention to themselves, which makes me think that there's some kind of trap. I don't know if I've been watching too much of Walking Dead lately, but whatever is here, it just feels like it wants to munch my arm off. We get a nice view at exactly how high up these sky platforms are, and for some reason there's grass growing on them, which makes me wonder if we'll get any story details as to why Hyrule has stuff up in the sky. Clearly these broke off from the ground and they weren't just pieces of cement that formed in the air. Are we in the same timeline? Far in the future? Far in the past? What caused these chunks of land to suddenly rise up into the sky? But this is Nintendo, the company that concentrates on gameplay instead of story. Which is a good thing, but these games are usually lacking on the lore department for this reason. The story is rarely deep. Lore is usually something that complements the gameplay instead of lore being the entire gameplay. It's just something we have to deal with as Nintendo fans. Here we see the return of Lizalfos, though they now have a red glow about them, kind of like the red goop we've been seeing throughout the trailer. This could indicate some type of enemy control. There are also some bokoblins mining on the rocks, which pretty much confirms that we'll likely be able to mine resources or break rocks like we did in Breath of the Wild. Another returning mechanic are these steel boxes. In the past, we were able to magnesis these and throw them at enemies as another way to cause damage. The addition of these makes me think that there will be some returning abilities, or we'll have some variation of magnesis. Kind of like how we've already seen a variation of the stasis rune. The background of this image shows more of that red goo. It has the same aura as the pink Ganon goop from Breath of the Wild. Maybe it's the same idea. We also see these cool trees and mushrooms that are slightly different from the flora that we experienced in Breath of the Wild. Does that mean we're in a completely different time? Are these not the same Link and Zelda from previous games? Or is this a completely new biome that we didn't have access to before? I gotta say, I like the vibes. All the particles floating through the air with the new scenery really makes for a cool feeling. Breath of the Wild was all about open spaces and nature being disrupted by big ol' pig Ganon. This seems a lot more closed off and suffocating. It feels like we're on our toes for enemies around every corner, though we do get to fly through the air as we see later, so definitely still in open air. But we got extra cool new places, which is good. I don't want to just explore the same world that we explored in Breath of the Wild, I want some new places. We get a really quick shot of the Bridge of Hylia. Comparing this to the one in Breath of the Wild is actually crazy. All the cracks and crumbles are practically identical, so maybe we aren't in a completely different time after all. If this game was set way further in the past, these columns would most likely be restored, and if it was way further in the future, there would definitely be more cracks and breaks throughout the bridge. Though the bridge still seems to be holding up the Gleeok totally fine. This is an enemy we haven't seen in the series since Phantom Hourglass. Each time it appears in a Zelda game, it has a slightly different ability. Thankfully, the end goal of cutting off the monsters' heads has pretty much stayed the same, which is probably how we'll destroy it this time around. The multi-headed dragon has always been either a boss or a mini-boss-esque fight, which means the Gleeok in this game could probably be on par with that of the other mini-bosses, like the Hanoxes or the Stone Taluses. We see more of that red smoke, slime, fire stuff at the edge of the bridge, as well as another green glow that could be related to the swirls that we saw before. And we see another view of Death Mountain to get a better look at the ooze. In the next scene, we see some more green swirls, this time in the middle of Hateno village. This tower is actually the ancient tech lab that's on the outskirts of the village. There aren't any pretty blue flames this time though, so are Pura and Simon still there, or has this place been completely abandoned? I was super curious what these pretty swirls took the place of, so I went into Breath of the Wild and flew myself down to that piece of land and found out that it's a tree. A pretty big tree that you can climb, but just a tree, which gives us almost nothing to go off of. Unless the trees are the secret and the trees are trying to help us save Hyrule. Another quick scene shows us that the Blood Moon is returning to Tears of the Kingdom. Yay, I can't wait for a cutscene to play every freaking time that thing shows up. The Blood Moon does seem to have a similar color red to the smoke goop stuff and the glow that we've seen on the enemies so far. It makes sense that the moon would have some control over the monsters in the realm since it has full control over spawning them. But the moon isn't the most interesting thing in this frame. Maybe if it had Majora's Mask face, it would be a bit cooler. But no, I'm talking about the Sky Island in the background. Look at that super long leg thing that extends downward. Is that to allow us to get up there before we get our sick, nasty flying vehicles? Is that some divine beast just in the distance? Why is the bottom of the leg a different color than the top of the land? Is the top half further away than the bottom half, or is it just foggy? No idea. If this is a part of the chunk of land, I'm assuming this is how we'll get up to the Sky Islands before we gain more magical powers. Probably the biggest news out of the scene that no other Tears of the Kingdom breakdown video will tell you, the bow and arrow are back. Oh yeah, bet no one else had that scoop. Okay, but the shield looks pretty cool. It makes me excited to see what new weapons and gear we'll come across during our adventures. The trailer then shows us a close-up shot of the Blood Moon, drawing attention to its significance, and showing that if you squint really hard, there is actually a face on this thing, and I take back my previous statement, the moon is cool again. We then see these pink fireballs shooting out across Hyrule in front of the Blood Moon. But these balls of fire aren't coming from the moon itself. They seem to be flying in an upward motion from the ground rather than straight down from the direction of the Blood Moon. We don't get to see exactly what these fireballs are. They explode on the ground and then the scene changes to something else, but if you freeze the frame for a second, we can get a semi-outline of something inside. These arms kind of look like guardian arms. There might be a body in here too, though this shadow part is definitely a lot smaller than the body of the guardians that we're used to. As the scene progresses, the shadows completely explode, so maybe it wasn't actually a body after all. It's just really weird that these seem to be shaped very similar to guardian arms. There's also definitely a hand or claw here and another one over here. Or maybe it's just a simple cinematic for respawning all the enemies again, which means another cutscene to sit through a million times. Great! The trailer then shows us a quick scene of molten rocks falling. Okay, cool story, bro. Then we see Hyrule Castle crumbling down again. Some things never change. It's a miracle this castle is in every game. It takes a freaking beating. More Blood Moon, but this time looking towards the Great Plateau and the Temple of Time. Again, nothing really special except that there's a ton of emphasis on the Blood Moon. All of the crumbles of the edge of the Great Plateau match up perfectly with Breath of the Wild, again giving more emphasis to the story being around the same time as the previous game. We see some bokoblins floating down from the sky and then getting hit with the Blood Moon's fireballs. This makes me wonder if the moon has complete control over the guys thanks to the fireballs of death. These fireballs also seem to turn the monsters into bigger versions of themselves. Look at this guy. That's someone who didn't skip leg day, or arm day, or neck day. We also get a nice look at the enemy of every child's nightmares, a re-dead. Oh, these things still scare the crap out of me. 20-something year nightmare that has never rectified itself. As excited as I am for an enemy to be returning to the series, it literally could have been any other monster. I'd rather Bubbles in this game. These things suck. Literally. On the bright side, the moblins got really cool hats, or their horn exploded or something. The Lizalfo is just a child screaming in your face. His hat isn't as cool. Put your tongue back in your mouth. Go get a better hat. Epona, or horses in general, are back in Tears of the Kingdom. All the wild horsies didn't perish. It's a good day. What I assume to be Hyrule Castle in the background is engulfed in evil fire. We saw in a previous trailer that the entire castle lifts up from the ground. Maybe this same thing happened to the other areas of the map? Is that what caused the sky islands around the rest of Hyrule? In a very quick scene, we see a bunch of sand clouds climbing up a hill. I'm assuming there's some kind of monster on its way to attack us. Maybe Moldugas? That would be quite rude though. I hate those things. Here, Link is about to get harassed by guardian arms. They seem to fit exactly in the hole surrounding what looks like a helpful rune spot that we've seen in Breath of the Wild. Crazy how there's just enough holes in the floor to fit the guardian arms, almost like it was a trap the whole time. He seems to be inside some kind of Sheikah building. Maybe this is another test of strength like we had in Breath of the Wild, or a clue to the Mysteria story. We get another look at buff Bokoblin, but this time of the blue variety, which confirms that the color variations and probably difficulty variations of the enemies are returning. He seems to have some minions with all different horns or metal hats. Whatever they are, I hope they're metal so the lightning can just take care of them for us. The fireballs seem to be evolving or morphing these enemies around Hyrule. This will make for some cool variations on enemies that we've been seeing in the game over the years, so that way we're not just fighting a million Bokoblins all over again. Hinoxes are still roaming the land. They also have a cool hat, which probably means that these things have also gotten hit by the moon's balls. The Hinoxes in Breath of the Wild frequently carried around an item on their necklace, usually something like a rune ball that you needed to grab to throw in a slot to solve a puzzle. This guy has a big green rock orb thing. Are these the new rune balls? Or are we about to get extremely rich after shooting this thing in the eye with a few arrows? Here we see Link flying over one of the most annoying shrines in the previous game, though at least it's not raining this time, which is a nice change, but it is just another example of how the Breath of the Wild world still exists underneath all of the new sky stuff that we're about to experience. We get a nice shot of Link riding Epona through this beautiful grass that surrounds a very evil and gassy Hyrule Castle. There's a shadowy figure in the background, but unfortunately it's too far away to properly make out what it is. It looks as though it has 4 legs and a hooked nose, or maybe a tail. Is that an elephant? Hard to tell from this distance. The trailer then gives us a closer look at these flying frogs. Turns out they can carry enemies because Bokoblins weren't already super annoying. Now they have access to airplane tickets. I feel like the flying frogs are going to be an enemy that are the most annoying. More moblins show off their cool hats, except this guy. He still has his normal horn. He didn't get lucky enough to win the lottery. Which means that not all of the enemies are probably getting hit with fireballs. Finally, Minecraft has made its way to the Zelda universe. They saw how successful Steve's edition of Smash was, and they tried to figure out where else to sneak Minecraft into Nintendo. And they did. Now we have to worry about blocks hanging around the world. Are they a puzzle that we need to solve again? Or are they this huge crazy cube monster ready to pixelize us? How do you swing a sword at a monster made of cement blocks? It's a great question. Next we see floating Dead Dwarf, which is what I'm calling this sexy corpse. There's a ton of evidence that this thing is Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time. I'd go through it all, but this video is already the longest video I've ever done, so I'm gonna save that for another time. Just know that his name is Dead Dwarf from here on out. Thanks chat for the name. Dead Dwarf has a nice red smoky goop chilling in his chest. Definitely a heart of gold for sure, and we have no reason to be concerned. The trailer then skips to a shot of Hyrule Castle with the same red goop seemingly alluring to the fact that Dead Dwarf was beneath the castle this entire time. He floats, the castle floats, everybody floats. This is probably why pieces of the earth are also floating. I bet my butt the land of Hyrule gets a bit crumbly when all this is going down. We get a nice view of the super strong man Dead Dwarf lifting up the base of the castle with all of his power, and then we see his eyes animate. I'm assuming this happens before he starts Hulk lifting this castle into the sky. Maybe Link and Zelda find his corpse, they touch it for whatever weird reason I can't even think of at the moment, and then he goes on his rampage of the world. And then we see Link questioning his life choices. He does have some notable gear on. First, the champion's tunic from Breath of the Wild is returning, probably to show us that this is indeed the same Link from the previous game. He also has this shoulder-pieced chest strap, hood attachment, and a butler-esque belt that isn't normally a part of the champion's tunic. Maybe it's part of the shield, or maybe the developers upgraded the tunic a little bit. The amount of detail that's in this game is crazy good. The attention to everything, to keep many things exactly the same, but also add something new, is nice to see. We finally get a sky view at part of Hyrule. We see a bunch of sky islands surrounding Hyrule Castle. There's some Ganongoop on the right side, which might be Death Mountain, if we're on the northeast part of the map, which means that Death Mountain has most likely been taken over, and I'm excited to see what kind of quests are in store for us. Link then skyward sword falls into this new world that he has found himself in. We get a nice top-down look at Hyrule. Again, there's this tower in the background with the spotlights surrounding it, as well as a pit of despair. These crop circle things have suddenly appeared in Hyrule. They weren't there for Breath of the Wild. It'll be interesting to see if there's some kind of shrine puzzle or if they signify something else. There's another huge tower in the background, though I'm not sure if it's an enemy camp or one of those towers that we've been seeing, but this time without all the lights. Link finally gets to take out these frog dragons with his bow. Ugh, definitely the most satisfying part of the trailer. We don't see the enemy explode on the ground, but I'm assuming we'll still collect monster loot like we did in the previous game. The type of arrow that Link shoots here is very interesting. It's not quite a bomb arrow, not quite a guardian arrow, and it seems to have homing abilities. We can see the arrow ball thing shoot off towards the right and then immediately turn towards the dragon frog and cause a tiny explosion. The next new mechanic the trailer shows us is the ability to shield surf on minecart rails. It makes me wonder how much inspiration the developers got from Twitter and Reddit posts showing the crazy ways that people were messing with the physics of Breath of the Wild. But I'm excited for some new modes of transportation around this crazy place. We get another view of Sky Islands, and they're really up there. I'm interested to see if the new power Link gets to jump towards the sky and through the ground has a height limit. Can he just jump into space? Or do we need one of those cool new vehicles to get up higher? Or maybe we can hitch a ride on a Rito, which we haven't seen any of the helpful people of Hyrule. Hopefully they're not all dead. It looks like the Bokoblins finally learned how to dual hand weapons. Their new power is truly unmatched. Not sure if this object on the right has any significance, but the green seems to stick out amongst all the red rocks. Could just be another metal object for us to use to our advantage with our new runes, or maybe it's something we have to collect. We get another look at a new rune. Link seems to be using it to rotate objects as indicated by these arrows. Doing so rotates the platform in front of him. It's unclear if this is a shrine puzzle or just a new feature of the world. We don't get a good look at what the rotating piece of land does to benefit Link. Maybe it lets you get to higher places, maybe there's a treasure chest underneath, who knows. All I know is that Death Mountain is looking real evil in the background. Link has a new weapon to add to his arsenal. This is basically a super cool lacrosse stick. It looks like we can fling balls or bombs or something at other enemies. Here it's being used on a stone talus, whose weak point is still the rock on the top of its head, but this time it's blue and glowy. In the background we see similar rocks on the ceiling. I'm assuming this cave is a place where we'll be able to mine some precious minerals that we'll use for crafting. The next scene shows that Zelda has a cool dress. Probably only there to show that if this is Zelda, she is the person grabbing a hold of this dead hand, which seems to be Link's hand as we can see in the next scene. This probably has something to do with Dead Dwarf's return. Maybe Link grabbed the corpse and it turned his arm dead. But this thing has to have crazy powers. I can't wait to see what a dead arm can do. Which comes true immediately, thank you trailer. We see Link's dead hand perform a type of magnesis on the tire in the water. It seems as though we'll have to build our own vehicles from parts found around the world. Who left these parts in the disgusting red water? We'll never know, but they clearly aren't good at taking care of their stuff. The trailer then shows Link riding his super cool new Hot Wheel car. The developers seem to have taken inspiration from the motorbike that we got in Breath of the Wild and had fun just creating any vehicle that their mind could come up with. There's also something that looks like a cube bomb seemingly powering it up. Similar to the motorcycle, I'm sure we'll have to find some kind of fuel to keep it going. Like apples. Vehicles freaking love apples. Link also creates the world's very first hot air balloon to reach really tall platforms, as well as Hyrule's first airplane. There seems to be this green goo that appears on the different vehicles. Not sure if they have any power in this world or if Link just made a questionable design choice. We get a nice scenic shot towards the end of the trailer. There's a piece of sky falling with a blue glow around it. Is the sky a friend or a foe? We don't know. As this trailer has progressed, it seems like the blue-green glow is good and the red glow is bad. To keep with these themes, I'm going to say that the sky is a good guy and sending us help in the form of falling objects. Right before the logo pops up, we can also see the statue that has a green glow to it. Not sure if this is similar to the shrines or what's up. Hard to speculate since we know almost nothing about this game. It's still kind of cool to look at and think about though. In the last scenes of the trailer, we see Dead Dwarf throw up all over Link. It's important to note that Link's right arm is already dead here, which means that the arm issue happened before Dead Dwarf reanimates. Again, probably from Link touching the stationary corpse. His arm dies and Dead Dwarf is a live dwarf once again. The trailer then switches to Link jumping through the falling rubble to save Zelda, who is notably dressed differently than in the previous cutscene where she's grabbing Link's dead hand. If this trailer is anything like Breath of the Wild, many of these animations are cutscenes from the game that are just out of order. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case and pretty dress Zelda is from a cutscene at the end of the game. And that's it. Is that 100 things? I don't know. It makes for a good video title, okay? I didn't even go through the website or tweets from Nintendo, which tend to hold more information that the trailer didn't show. But I'm tired. This video is already too long. If you've been here the whole time, you're literally my hero. I'm excited for Tears of the Kingdom. We know next to nothing about this game that's coming out in a few months, but if it's anything like Breath of the Wild, and I have high expectations that it will be, it's going to be another amazing addition to the Zelda series. I'm excited to see the new runes, new gear, new puzzles, everything. It's a long wait until May, but we can do it, probably. Comment something YouTube won't hide, so not pee-pee poo-poo. Comment Dead Dwarf if you're still here at the end of the video, because you're awesome, and I didn't steal this idea from anyone else. And I'll see you next time. Bye!